Hello everybody, welcome to another scripting tutorial. So, this tutorial is going to be on cameras. So, yeah, nothing much to say at the beginning really. It's just going to be on camera manipulation and let's get started. So, let's say you have a game and when you join the game you show some sort of, I don't know, some sort of intro to the game, like a GUI covering the screen with a nice intro, and then you want the camera of your game to kind of circle around a brick or to kind of move with a brick or something. I don't know. You want the camera to do something cool. So I'll show you how to do something like that. Now, I've got 5 bricks here. 4 of them are just parts, just normal parts. And the middle one is called focus here. And it has a script inside it. And what this script does is it moves this brick upwards. Okay, it just moves the brick up. So we want the camera to follow this brick when it moves up. Okay. So what I've done is I've inserted a local script into starter pack. Okay. This local script is just called camera script. Now it needs to be local, and it's probably best if you put it into the starter pack so that it loads when the player loads. Actually, it's probably best to stick it into something like replicated, I don't know, replicated first or something. Yeah, we'll stick it into replicated first because that means it's. I'm trying to think of the difference now between replicated first and storage. I think replicated storage and replicated first are for the clients only, and then obviously server storage is for the. Actually, no, replicated storage, I think that's for the server and the client. Replicated first, that's just for the client, and server storage, that's just for the server. So that's the difference between these types of storage. So if we stick camera script into replicated storage, you know what? Let's just stick it into server storage because we're going to be using it from the server. Right. So stick camera script into the server storage. Doesn't really matter where the hell you put it. Now insert a script into workspace. Okay, this is going to be the script that when a player enters the game, so we're going to name it on player added. Okay, we're going to make an event, game.players.player added connect. You should all know how to make events now. If you don't, then watch my event tutorial. So this is our player added event. So when a player enters the game, what we want to do is we want to get camera script, local camera script equals game dot, actually let's make server storage equals game get service server storage. So we're just going to get the server storage so that we can actually access server storage. We could just do game.server storage. In fact, you could do it either way. Some people like to do it like this. Some people like to do it like where they have a variable called server storage. You can do it either way, as long as you've got server storage, and then server storage dot camera script, because our camera script is inside server storage. Okay, and we want to clone it. We want a clone of camera script because we don't want to take this one. Okay, so camera script. Now we need to stick camera script. So camera script dot parent equals player dot backpack. But before we do that, we want to do player wait for child backpack, because the backpack doesn't load straight away. It takes time for the backpack to load when the player enters the game, so we want to wait for the backpack to load, and then we can stick the camera script into the backpack. Because if we try and put the camera script into the backpack when the backpack hasn't loaded, then we're going to have some problems. So let's now say camera script dot disabled equals false, and let's set it to disabled in the server storage, because we don't want it to start running in server storage. I don't think it actually can run in server storage because it's a local script, but we want to set disabled because we don't want it to run here yet. We want it to run as soon as it gets into the player. So when it gets into the player, then we can enable it with this line of code here. Okay then. Now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to test it. Actually no, I'm not, because we haven't actually added anything into camera script. It's a blank script. So let's do something with camera script. So cam equals game.workspace.current camera. Okay, this only works because it's in a local script. This line of code would not work if you're in a if you're not in a local script. Okay, so because it's local, we can get the current camera for that player from the workspace. Okay, it's even a property in workspace. See, current camera is a property in workspace, but it's only for the local player. Okay then, so now that we've got a camera, we can do things to it. So cam.camera subject equals game.workspace.focus here. Now remember, focus here is actually a brick. Okay, you could call it whatever you want. I called it focus here, and we're going to set our camera subject onto the focus here brick, which means that we're going to be looking at focus here. Okay, then we want to set cam.camera type equals let's say it's let's set it to attach. Okay, so you've got different camera types. You've got fixed, which means it's just fixed to a certain point in the workspace. Attach means it's looking at the brick, but you can only move the camera up and down, but you can't move it left and right. Follow, you know, it follows the whatever it's following. So I don't know, it could be following a person, and I think the same thing with track as well. I think there's a slight difference between follow and track, something to do with turning the camera. Or you're gonna have to try it out yourself, because I'm just going to be showing you the scripting side of it. You can have a play around with all the different camera types if you want. But anyway, I set the camera type to attach. Okay, and now we've attached the camera to the brick, and we've set the camera type to attach, so that we're looking at the brick. We can only move the camera up and down, but we can't move it left and right. Let's have a see if this will actually work. I will be surprised if it works on the first go. And notice I've even got a spawn here, so you can spawn somewhere in the map. Okay, the brick started moving up. Let's see if the camera is following it. And no, it's not. There shall be an error then. Actually, hold on, no, I think I know what's happened. Let's go back. Let's wait 5 seconds before setting the camera to current camera and setting the camera subject to focus here. We'll wait 5 seconds before setting up the camera, okay? And let's see if it works now. If it does work, I'll explain why that works and why the previous setup didn't. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so we're in the and we are in the game. We've got our intro coming up. Okay, the intro is now ending. Let's focus onto the brick. Come on, work. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look why it's not working. Let's go into players. Here we go. It's not actually in the backpack. That's why. Yeah. So there was the script is not actually inside backpack. So that's the problem. Let's go to server. Here we go. Ah, yeah. I called it camera script. I misspelled camera. That's why. So yeah, camera script. There we go. I just made a typo. I make typos everywhere. You go into any one of my games, you will find a typo somewhere. In fact, I keep getting messages from people saying, "Oh, you've got a typo in your game." Everywhere. Right. The intro is now ending. Okay, we're in the game. The intro is ending now, and ready? Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. I can move the camera up and down, but I can't move it left and right. The camera is following this brick. That is absolutely great. So now we know how to focus on a brick. What about if we want to move the camera around and do other things? Let's do that now. Okay. Actually, hold on. Let's get rid of the weight. I want to see if it works without the weight. But what we've done now is we've attached the camera to focus here. Now, say after, I don't know, 3 seconds. Oh no, let's say after 4 seconds, we want the camera to go back to the player. Okay. So let's set player equals game.players.local player. Okay. Now we've got a player. Remember, you can only do this in a local script. Game.players.local player. And we are in a local script, which means it will work. And now we can set the cam.camera subject equals player.character.humanoid. Now, you would think that you set the camera subject to the torso, but you actually set it to the humanoid. Now again, it's been a while since I've done camera stuff. You can set it to either one. You can set it to either torso or humanoid. I mean, I think normally it's set to the humanoid though, because it is better practice to set it to humanoid than torso. Anyway, right. So yes. So after 4 seconds, we're going to set the camera back to the humanoid, and we want to set camera type equals, I think it's follow. Yeah, it's follow. It's either follow or track, I can't remember. Anyway, so let me just, right. So now we've done that, so let's test the game again. Let's see if it will focus on the green brick, and then after 4 seconds it will go back to the player, because we don't want to focus on the green brick for the entire game. We want the player to play the game as well. Okay, we're on the green brick. Okay, we're on the green brick, and we're on the player again. Hey, it works. See that? And that's how you do that. Okay, and maybe afterwards you can even delete the script if you're not going to use it again. So just script destroy if you're not going to use the script again. Anyway, so now we've got that done. What we want to do now is, what if we want to make the camera move about? What if we want to make the camera do cool things? Okay, so let's do that. So let's set the camera type to, I think it's scriptable. Okay, so we're going to focus on focus here. The camera type is now scriptable. That means we should be able to do things like cam.coordinate frame equals cframe.new, I don't know, actually no, let's put this into while true do loop. Actually no, loops equals 0. Hold on, I'm just doing something. I'll explain this afterwards, because we want to make the camera loop around the brick, so we just need to have a loop so that we can kind of loop around the brick. I don't know, let's set, yeah. So while loops is less than 500, wait. Now we can set cam.coordinate frame equals the focus here brick.cframe times cframe.angles. Okay, cframe.angles it just means that you're rotating something. So if you times the brick by cframe.angles, you're rotating that brick. If you times the camera by cframe.angles, you're going to be rotating the camera. Okay then. Let's times it by, I don't know, math.rad to 2 degrees. And math.rad, that just means, I don't know how to explain this now, because it's a mathematical thing. cframe.angles uses radians, and when you're working with angles, you can either be in degrees, so you can say rotate 360 degrees, so that means a full turn, or you can do it in radians, which means it's instead of going to 360 degrees, you're going up to 2 pi radians. Basically, if you want to rotate the camera by 2 degrees, do math.rad and convert 2 degrees into radians, because cframe.angles works with radians. Okay, you don't need to know much than that if you're just rotating a camera, but just put 2 degrees into this function math.rad, okay, and it will work. It will work. Trust me, it will work. Right. Let's see if it will work actually first before I start saying it will work, and let's do that for 8 seconds, okay? And then we're going to stick the camera back onto the humanoid. Okay, this is going to be pretty cool if it does work. I hope it works. Let's see. Oh. Oh. What's happening? We're moving up. I can't see the brick. Something's gone wrong. Okay, let's go back to the script. It's almost working though. It's almost working. And let's multiply that by cframe.new. I'll explain what this does again. 0.2.0. So we're going to move the camera, I don't know, outwards by. We're going to move the camera outwards by 2 by 2 by 2 studs. So not only are we going to be rotating, but we're also going to be moving the camera kind of outwards as well. Right, I want to see if this works as well. And instead of changing the camera type to scriptable, let's just change it to custom, and then we'll see if it works like that. Because custom means that you could just kind of, you can do whatever you want with it. Right. Actually no, let's change it to fixed. Okay, so if you change the camera type to fixed, that means it's going to be fixed onto that brick. So you can't, you can't move your camera. You can't move the camera with your mouse. The camera is going to be fixed on that brick, so the player will not be able to move it. Okay, let's see if this works. So yeah, I'm pretty much giving you a realistic view of what scripting actually is. You just play around with stuff until it works. Here we go. Oh, the brick's moving up. Our camera doesn't seem to be doing much. Let's check the local script to see if it. Yeah, there's no error. Let's check the server script to see if there's no. Okay, that's all good. Oh, I know why we're not actually. Hold on. Here we go. The while loop is going to be staying in that loop forever because it's not actually. We're not adding to loops. I forgot to add to loops. So loops equals loops plus 1. Okay. I prefer to put the weight under here as well. Right. I'm trying to think why this isn't doing anything. Hold on. I'm going to disable the focus here script because I don't want it to move upwards. I just want to see the camera move itself with this line of code here. Okay. Let's increase the degrees that we spin it by. Let's see what's wrong with this. Right. In fact, let's set the camera type to custom. I want to see if that works now. It's all just a matter of fact of just playing around with stuff. Just keep playing around with the script until it works. You know the lines of code that you need now, though. Right. Oh, here we go. I can't actually move the camera. So I think the script is doing something. Because I can't move the camera. But it's not doing what I want it to do. Here we go. It's ended the loop and it's focused back on the player. Okay, so it's not actually spinning. Right. Let's have a look. What can we do? I don't know if this will make a difference. I'm just going to make it a bit easier to see. I'm going to set angle to 0. And I'm going to keep adding to angle. I'm going to say angle equals angle plus math.rad 3. And instead of doing math.rad here, I'm going to put angle in there. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for position. Position equals 0. And position equals position plus 1. And I'm just going to set the movement of the camera to position, position, position. So you can kind of see what that's doing here. In fact, not only should I do that, I'll change this angle as well here, so that we can make the camera do awesome things. Right. Let's see if this works. If this doesn't work, then I'm going to have to pause the camera from recording while I try and fix it, and then I'll resume it again. Hey, look at that! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Ah! Oh my goodness, look at that! Whoa! What the hell is going on? Look at that! It works! It works! Whoa! Okay then, so now you know how to do that. Wow! Now let's zoom back into the player. Well, okay, I'm going to have some fun with this now. Now, this isn't really something that I normally do in my games. I think I'm going to do this in my next game, though. Because I don't normally bother with camera movement in my games, because I'm more focused on the actual gameplay and stuff. Well, this is actually kind of fun. Let's change that to 0, and that to angle, that to position, position, position. And let's see what we can do now. So yeah, just you got the script now, everyone. Look at the script. So cam.coordinate frame equals the brick that you want to focus on. So we're going to focus on the center of the brick. Then we're going to be spinning the brick with this bit of code here. Then we're going to be moving the brick outwards. Okay, with this line of code here. So all we're doing is multiplying the C frames, okay, and that's what you do. And now you know how to do that. That is actually pretty cool. Right, let's try again because I just changed the code. Now all you've got to do now is keep changing this code and see what you can do with it. Right, let's see this. Right, ready? Whoa! Look at that. Okay then. Right. So, if you want, in the center of a game, if you're in the middle of a game, right, and you got your main script here, all you got to do is, if you want the camera to move on things, all you got to do is copy this camera script from the server storage into the player's backpack and set it to enabled with this line of code here to make it not disabled. Okay, and when you're done with the script, just destroy it at the end with script : destroy, and you can make it do cool things. Just play around with it. Really, that's what scripting's about. It's not about just learning one thing and then learning every single thing. It's about learning one thing but playing around with a lot of other things as well. So just play around with it and you'll become a good scripter. Okay, so now you know how to do that. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at peacepodrblx. Yeah, that's that's actually pretty cool. Right, so I shall see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.